Okay, so now that I've got that horizontal menu bar down, I'm going to focus in here on this next table, which has a table that contains some headers and data cells. It contains borders. It contains different attributes that we're going to focus on in our table. So creating a table that's not too complex, but just adding a little bit more to it using different types of cells. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit. And if I think through this table, a couple of things that I notice. First, I want my border to be approximately 5 pixels. Then if I look here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows and 1, 2, 3 columns. So I have 5 rows. One of them is a heading row, so that's going to contain different types of cells than these 4 data rows down here. And as I said, we have 3 columns, and then we want this table to take up approximately 80% of the width of our browser. So we're going to start by just creating a basic outline for this table. Now I'm going to put a break tag first just to give my table some space between them. I then have my table tag. I then have my closing table tag. I know a couple of things about my table. First, it has 3 columns, has a border that is equal to 5 pixels, and it has a width of 80% of the window. Then from there, I know that I have 5 rows. So I'm going to put that information in right off the bat. So you can see here I have my open row and my closed row. Then I'm just going to copy and paste that text. So I have 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows, 4 rows, and 5 rows of rows within my table. So now I can see I've accommodated for all of those rows. That's where the slides kind of continue. But you should see, okay, I have 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows, 4 rows, 5 rows within my table. Now we're ready to move on and start coding each row. So the first thing to think about is in row 1, we have 3 heading cells, and we want the default to be in the center alignment with bolded text. So because of this, we're going to use the TH tag. So far, we've only used the TD tags, but when we have cells that are acting as headers, we're going to use the TH tags instead. So I'm going to have 1 column within that row, a second column within that row, and a third column within that row. The other thing we know about this entire row is that we want the background of it to be blue. So if we look back at that table way up here, the background we can clearly see is blue. So if we code this, let's start by just coding our background color, which is blue. So I have a BG color, which is equal to blue. And then from here, if I go back, I also notice that I have my text is white, and I want to make it just a little bit bigger. I'm going to make it 1 size bigger. So here you'll notice, I'm a little bit ahead of us. There we go. We have our header cells. We then are going to write title, actors, and description. So the text in here is going to be title, actors, and a description of the movie. And then from here, we have the same font applied. So I'm going to have a font tag that has a color that is equal to white, a size equal to +1. And then I'm going to close off that font tag as well. And then I'm just going to copy and paste this because it's the same font for each. So I'm going to copy, copy, copy the closing tag, and paste it. So now if I save this and I run it in Chrome, what I see is I see that I have title, actor, and description all highlighted in white. So it's in that white color, and it has a bolded text, and it looks slightly bigger. So I have my row 1 ready to go. So now if I move on to rows 2, 3, and 4, they are all containing 3 data cells. So they will all use the TD tag. So if you want to put that in to start, you can do that. So you can copy and paste and say, well, this one has 3 cells. And then if you want to even just copy and paste all 3, you can say this one has 3 cells, this one has 3 cells, this one has 3 cells. So you can see you're going to have 4 more rows that contain 3 cells each. Now, something to note is that Within this first chunk, I'm actually going to put a percentage inside of each of these data cells. So you'll notice here it has 25%, 30%, and 45%. So I'm going to add those in right away and do, okay, the width is equal to 25%. That one, the width is equal to 30% here, and then the other one was 45%. So I'm going to do the width is equal to 45% here, and they all need that percentage sign. Now, what I want you to notice very, very carefully is when I apply this to one cell or to one set of columns, it actually applies to the whole cell. So I'm going to run this in Chrome. And now you'll notice I don't have any text in those yet. I just have the cells set up so you can see them there. What I want you to notice is that this is what I originally programmed. And once I put the widths in, it changed them just a little bit. You can see those slight changes. So by putting the width into just one set of those, one set of row, like 1, 2, those 3 columns, in those 3 cells, I actually changed the width of my page. So here, if I go back, you'll notice that just that piece in just one row actually made all of my cells those same widths. So all of the first columns are 25%, the second columns are 30%, and the third columns are 45%. So just something to note that you can do. You don't have to put in every cell. You can just put in one row with those cells, and it'll actually apply to the entire document. Now from here, we're just going to add in these next chunks of text. So here in the first one, we have good night, and then you'll notice I have a break tag, and then it says and good luck. And I have the 2 actors that are in that movie, so I can't type very well right now. And then you'll notice I have another break, and that's to force an enter in there, and then George Clooney. Then you'll notice the next chunk I can put in nostalgic black and white used to show period authenticity. So now I can save that. I can save it and I can run it in Chrome, and you can see it's now starting to fill in. And where I put those breaks, are where the text actually breaks down to the next line within that cell. So what I'd like you to do is I'm going to show you the next 2 chunks. So this is row 3. What I'd like you to do is pause the video, add in row 3. So this one deals with Walk the Line with Joaquin Phoenix and Reese Witherspoon. Then I want you to add in row 4. So you have The Constant Gardener. And then add in row 5 with Cinderella Man. So just add in those couple lines of text, then you can move on to the next video where we'll talk about a couple of different attributes that we can add to our tables.